This is Plant-Based Briefing, 5 Everyday Things You Didn't Know Were Hurting Animals by Ellie Flemming at VeganFTA.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. This is the curated content plant-based podcast where I narrate a variety of articles on healthy, compassionate, and sustainable living in about 10 minutes or less every weekday with permission, and I'm pleased to have permission from VeganFTA to share their content. So now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. 5 Everyday Things You Didn't Know Were Hurting Animals by Ellie Flemming at VeganFTA.com. We all want to believe that we're doing our best to be kind to animals, but there are hidden practices in industries and activities that we often don't think about that can cause harm to animals in ways we never realized. From wool to horseback riding, here are 5 things you'll want to reconsider when it comes to how animals are treated. Number 1, the dark side of wool. It's not as soft as it seems. Wool might seem like a harmless, eco-friendly material, but the process behind getting it is anything but gentle. Sheep used for wool production are often sheared in stressful, chaotic environments, and the shearing process itself can cause cuts and injuries. Worst of all, in some countries, practices like mulesing, removal of skin around the sheep's rear without pain relief, are still used, causing lasting physical and emotional pain. Lambs are also castrated without pain relief. Not so cuddly anymore, huh? Number 2, the ugly truth about eggs. Hens are suffering in silence. Eggs are a staple in many kitchens, but the reality of the egg industry can be shocking. In factory farms, hens are usually kept in cramped battery cages where they can't move or spread their wings. Another horror lies in what happens to male chicks. Because they don't lay eggs, they're often killed shortly after birth in a macerator or suffocated. Not to mention, these chickens have been selectively bred to overproduce eggs so we can use them. They end up with numerous health complications as a result. So every time you crack an egg, it's worth thinking about what's happening behind the scenes. 3, dairy isn't as sweet as it sounds for cows. Cows used in dairy farming are typically kept in confined, restrictive conditions where they're constantly bred to produce milk, often to the detriment of their health. Calves are torn away from their mothers shortly after birth, leaving them both distressed. Plus, many dairy cows suffer from mastitis, lameness, and other painful conditions as a result of excessive milk production. Like chickens, they've been selectively bred to overproduce milk so we can exploit them. And what do you think happens to the cows when they no longer lactate? They're useless to the industry, so they're sent to the slaughterhouse. It's time to think twice about where that glass of milk comes from. 4, the pet trade. Animals aren't accessories. The pet trade might seem like an innocent industry, but it's a major contributor to animal exploitation. Exotic animals are often taken from their natural habitats and subjected to horrendous conditions during transport. Once they reach their destination, they're forced into captivity in environments that don't meet their physical or social needs. It isn't only the less common companion animals. Dogs and cats, for example, are bred, and as a result, so many animals needing homes are euthanized. It is also the case that people desire dogs who are purebred, essentially inbred with characteristics that commonly cause health complications. Or people may wish for animals to have certain features that aren't naturally attainable, like cropped ears or docked tails. This causes unnecessary pain to an animal, all for the sake of aesthetics desired by humans. These issues stem from people believing that animals are commodities, that they serve us for the purpose of accessory, status, or pleasure. And number 5, horseback riding, a bumpy ride for horses. For many, horseback riding is a fun pastime, but for the horses, it can be a painful and stressful experience. Horses used for riding, especially in competitive settings, often suffer from back pain, joint issues, and even ulcers caused by the weight of the rider and improperly fitted saddles. There are also devices used to control the animals which inflict pain, for example, in their mouths or on their sides. In some cases, horses are pushed to their limits, enduring overwork and injuries just to keep up with the demands of their riders. In some countries, it's commonplace to watch and bet on horses or other animals, not considering the impact that such an industry has on them. So, what can you do? It's tough to hear about the hidden suffering animals endure in the industries that we often take for granted. It's even tougher to realize that it's hidden because initially the animals aren't considered. But now that you're aware, there are small changes you can make to reduce your impact. Choose plant-based alternatives to animal-derived products like wool. like cotton, hemp, or linen. Choose plant-based egg substitutes, such as silken tofu. Choose plant-based milk. Avoid buying companion animals from stores or breeders. Adopt instead, ensuring beforehand that you have the means to care for them. And don't place bets on animals. They didn't consent to taking part in this industry. Let's all work toward making the world a kinder place for animals, one decision at a time. You just listened to 5 Everyday Things You Didn't Know Were Hurting Animals by Ellie Flemming at VeganFTA.com, and I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and the author mentioned this in some of the sections, but most of these animals are eventually slaughtered at a fraction of their natural lifespans once they're not productive enough or profitable enough for humans. Once the sheep's wool production wanes, they are slaughtered. She mentioned the egg-laying chickens, same thing, they're slaughtered. The dairy cows are slaughtered, especially if they're male, they're slaughtered even earlier. Companion animals are euthanized in shelters, and a lot of animals you wouldn't think about are slaughtered for the pet food industry. And horses are often slaughtered, former owners who sell them off to someone, and off they go getting shipped for slaughter. I'll link some related episodes for each of these topics in the show notes, but you can also use any of these topics, put them in the search field at plantbasedbriefing.com episodes or wherever you listen, and those related episodes will come up. So please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.